Hello. Today is Monday, February 28th, 2022. I am here with our weekly forecast as to what's going to be coming up energetically. What have I been reflecting on? And then just kind of like pull a couple of cards. You know the drill. I don't have to give you this lead in. But it's Monday. It's Moon Day. We're tapped into our emotions. We're tapped into our feelings. We are doing the things that are helping us to start off the week positively, helping us to start off our week in power, taking our power back, you know what I mean? Doing things for ourselves that are helping us to set up our future, to help us set up the month of March. As we know, the month of March is, a 3 month. So this is a month of us really being tapped into our spirit. This is a month of us really being tapped into our goals. I think about this as also a month of friendship and a month of us being around people that help us to feel lightness in self and help us to feel even more connected to who we truly are. We just got out of a month of finding ourselves. Now it's about putting that energy into the people around us and letting people see us as we are today, instead of them thinking, that people want to support. I'll put it to you like this. People want to support us. People want to be there for us, but are we allowing ourselves to be supported? And how are you allowing people to be, in your space and at your arena, in your aura field? So before I even kind of like hop in, I want the framing message to be 2 cards that I pulled for myself. So just as a little background, I think that I've shared this with you guys before. On Sundays, as this year has started, I've gotten back into pulling cards from specific decks to kind of just like start off the week. And yesterday I pulled from the Earth Warriors Oracle deck. Padma Sundari, out of darkness, light is born. Isn't this beautiful? So I see, the lotus flowers, and that's actually very interesting because that's part of the reason why I put this lotus charm that I have on underneath one of my necklaces. But it's just reminding us that out of the darkness, the light is born. And then I also pulled Lily. Lily comes from Grandma Baby's Black Gold Lenormand deck. Hold on, let me open up the first page. That way you can see it. And see what it is named. But anyway, Lily came up as another message that I was asked to kind of just like look into. But this is the name of the deck, Grandma Baby's Black Gold Lenormand. You should check it out. Really, and also this is just like an ode to Black History Month, okay? As we are stepping out of Black History Month into the month of March. But what this kind of like reminding me is, what's going on in the darkness will always become our light, and us talking about the things that are triggering for us are going to be some of the biggest things that allow us to feel supported, right? And also just like the sense of pleasure. Like, how are we finding pleasure, but in the things that we know are, not necessarily sending us 10 steps back, they're helping to purport us 10 steps forward. And what does that look like for you? So if you don't know, I just spent the last week of my life in Los Angeles. I was there for work. Not because I know that you guys know that obviously like I've been doing spiritual work for years, but I still have a job, quote unquote. Actually, I'll take that back because I do contract jobs. I'm a freelancer. So one of my freelance jobs had me in Los Angeles, and what I was noticing during that time, I had a great time. I always love being in LA. It feels like another home. It feels like a future home for me. But this time was very challenging in certain arenas because a lot of the substances and a lot of like the life that I feel like I've had to like leave behind was there. Or I was finding myself in situations where some of those things were popping up. Some of those situations were popping up. And I had to step into these opportunities, step into these spaces in this new awareness and in this new physical body, being like, okay, like, you're not there anymore. And there's a sense of mourning that I know that I'm in the midst of right now. And it feels like I'm coming out of that sense of mourning, or actually, no, I'm stepping into it and allowing myself this month of March to really just like heal and process through everything that's like going on. And I feel like this week is reminding us that out of the darkness, the light is born. I want to start with this message first, and then I'll continue to explain. So it says, the light is powerful enough to survive exposure to the darker side of humanity and remain pure, empowered, and effective. Trust in your spiritual purpose as a light in this world. Trust particularly in your ability to bring purity, order, grace, and light to disorder, chaos, and destruction. The divine is ever by your side and ever within your heart, assisting you with this higher purpose in all ways. So that's just the lead in. It's all about us knowing that we are the light. And even though there's destruction, literally there's a war fucking happening. There's chaos, you know what I mean? There's all of this stuff that's going on around us at a global level and even in our personal lives. But allowing yourself to be close to the light and continuing to be pure in spirit and pure in mind is what is being suggested for us this week. How are you allowing yourself to be pure in mind and spirit and pure and true to yourself? For me, this is showing up as, you know, as a projector. It's been really important for me to learn my cycles and to learn you know, what times of the day do I feel like I need a nap? I just woke up from a nap. I've taken on this new role with this job. That's part of the reason why I was out there. But also just like setting up those boundaries, be like, hey, like I have another job. You know what I'm saying? I have a full-time job that I'm doing on the side. This is not my only life. You know what I mean? And also just like being able to plug and chug and get my life in order. So that way I'm able to do everything that I need to do, but also keeping up with the stuff that needs to be done. One of the things that happened while I was in LA is, if you didn't know, recently just had an article come out with the Toronto Star. Shout out to Alessia Pasiafume over at the Toronto Star. We did an article on the 222 portal. And we know that we are just stepping or getting ready to close up that energy, because today is the last palindrome date, where the date reads the same backwards and forwards: 228, 22, 228, 22. And we are kind of like stepping out of this energy, and it's like, what are the lessons that we have been learning? I posted a little bit on Instagram earlier about, you know, we're coming to the end of like some cycles, and just like, what lessons are we not willing to repeat right now? And as we are not repeating these lessons, we are allowing ourselves to be guiding posts for other people who want to step into their own personal light. When we live in our light, other people have the opportunity to live in theirs. And that doesn't mean that you have to be leading, you got to be preaching, you got to be ministering, but it's really just about you ministering your best self and allowing other people to see that as well. There were a lot of compliments that I received from people that I have not seen in a couple of months, that were just like, you seem different than the last time that I saw you. And I'm like thinking, well, you know, I got a couple things going on that have allowed me to feel more confident within myself and not trying to be like somebody else, which I feel like I was cosplaying for some time. And now I don't have to worry about that in the same way anymore. Or I'll put it like this, because I do still worry about it, but I'm not as attached to the outcome and putting things into my body or putting myself in places and being there longer than I need to in order to feel like I'm part of the group. Sometimes it's easier to stand, it's harder to stand alone, but it's the better thing for us. And that's something that I've been realizing. So how are you allowing yourself to stand alone, doing what it is that you need to do for yourself, and other people will take note on how you are choosing to move in this season? It says all issues can be healed through the unlimited recourse and creative resourcefulness of the divine. You are destined to be part of a creative solution for any issue that you have in your life or that exists in the world and touches your heart. The issue only exists so that divine genius can resolve it. Struggles are sometimes the best way for us to learn something we need to understand for our life journey. Trust that when you ask for help, even apparently impossible situations can be turned around. With willing human engagement and divine grace, there is more than enough light, healing, creative innovation, and wisdom and energy available to keep Mother Earth and all her creatures, including humanity, thriving. Never give up your hope and trust in what is possible, nor your willingness to act upon that hope and trust. So acting upon that willingness to hope, that willingness to trust myself and trust my vision and trust the things that I know are coming to me, even though the visions have not completely appeared just yet, even though the end goal is not fully here. But you know what? I ain't dead yet, so there's still time to make some things happen. And I know that what I am in the midst of doing right now is just the very beginning of something that is even bigger, but I have to keep putting energy towards it, trusting that I am doing the right thing. What does that mean for you? What are you putting energy into? What are you putting your time into? What have you been sacrificing your energy, your emotions, your money potentially, in order to make something happen? And it may not feel like it's all the way there yet, but listen, you're closer than you ever have been before. And how can you stay rest assured in that? With the Lily card, this is expanding. So the key word is expand. This is the King of Spades, which is the element of air. So this is the traditional King of Swords. And I feel like I brought this up in a reading somewhere over the last week. And I cannot remember specifically where it was. It's 4:44 right now here on the East Coast. It's all about getting the plan together. I actually, where is that damn thing? Oh, recently just got a nice little planner. Okay, and it's got my name on it, Gary DeAndre, but this is actually one of two. This is my personal planner. Because listen, I like to normally write all my stuff down. It'll come up in my phone. By the way, Spirit said, don't let them, not know what's going on in the background. This is an astral projection tone. This recording brings you to a theta separation point where astral projection happens. Access to the astral plane was once a well-guarded secret in ancient Egyptian culture, made available only to the powerful elite through elaborate rituals. Even when information of the astral realm became available, however, years of mental training was often required. People studied for years with no results. Though they desperately trained, they found themselves powerless to make contact with the other side. You have the ability to astral project, and with these tools, you can tap into the frequencies that make it happen. The astral plane is a world where spiritual communication happens on a very deep level, and profound spiritual development comes far easier than it does in a normal state of mind. It's the collective thought, the realm of understanding. The astral realm is but a figment of the human race's collective imagination, and yet so much more. Imagination itself comes from this realm, as do all things metaphysical and spiritual. Eventually, you could learn how to use your astral form to explore the physical world around you. Imagine the ability to visit distant relatives and friends spiritually from the comfort of your own home. So if you think about somebody, or, as you're like listening to these messages, it makes you want to reach out to somebody. Maybe that's where you actually projected. It makes me think about last night. I had two dreams where I was astral projecting into two different environments, and I actually need to call back a cousin of mine because I ended up kind of like coming up with, I had a dream about something which actually ended up kind of like happening in their real life. So I need to debrief with them after I get out of this. But the Lily card comes up because, this sense of expansion and expanding in our gifts, I feel like, is the message here. And knowing that our generational curses may be the generational blessings. I don't even want to say struggling with my sobriety, because it hasn't been a struggle. It's just been more of a struggle around, first off, how do I change my time up? Am I needing to switch the people that I'm spending time around? I should be making new friends. Do I have to let go of my old friends because they are causing me to be triggered? And would I be thinking about my old friends if I'm stepping into spaces with new friends and new environments that have me accessing the fullness of my gifts? And then also, it's a message around not being scared to share those gifts. You know what I'm saying? Like, what does it mean for you to share those gifts and allow people to expand with you? But you have to get the plan together and have the idea of the direction that you are headed. This card asks you, reevaluate what you've lost or are losing to be safe. What you've pruned to be palatable, to be liked. What if the parts of yourself you were told to sand down, cut off, and silence are your best parts? What if the validation you've been promised isn't worth the compromises you've been making? If you've been aiming for a seat at the table, build your own fucking table. One where you can be heard, seen, and affirmed. One whose cups and plates are spilling over with the generational abundance owed. Don't lose too much of yourself out here trying to fit into a narrow space. This card is about centering pleasure in your human experience unapologetically. Why are we encouraged to center generational traumas before generational gifts? Why do they want to see our pain before our pleasure? Prioritizing pleasure is revolution after generations of sacrificing and the policing of Black bodies, Black culture, and Black joy. Go on and live your best life. What act of pleasure will you indulge in today? This makes me think to my best friend's partner, Puma, who is really passionate about everything that is happening with all the Black people, all the Africans that are being held on the fringes of Ukraine and trying to get out of the city. There are these white people that are just like, trying to stop them from getting out. And it's scary to think that we are in 2022 and white people are still trying to keep Black people down. That's not just abroad, that's here in the United States as well. And it's just like, when is that going to be fucking over? When are we going to have time to just allow ourselves to be ourselves? Why are you so scared of our power? You know what I mean? Why are you so scared of our joy? Why are you threatened by our safety? And it's just like, are we ever going to get a moment to find peace? And it's just like, well, if we can find peace, whatever that means, it's hard to find peace, but it's just like, what can we do in order to allow ourselves to prioritize our joy, prioritize our pleasure? And how are you choosing pleasure today? How are you not focusing on generational trauma, but generational joy, and knowing that as you are stepping into the things that are the right things for you, you're helping to heal your bloodline forwards and backwards, because you are being the best version of yourself in a way that people before us didn't obviously have the opportunity to do, had to fight. You know what I mean? And we're still fighting, don't get it twisted, but there's a sense of us being able to maneuver and live in a way that our forefathers are not able to do. And also, even in this day and age, people are not able to do as well. So how are you allowing yourself to find what joy means in this season? I want to use a daily crystal inspiration card to close. I thought I was going to use the psychic tarot oracle, but Spirit is like, no, girl, like, we're going to find some inspiration because this feels like we need it. This week feels like a week of us prioritizing our gifts, prioritizing our happiness, prioritizing our life. And I want to see if there's a crystal that we can be working with as we are allowing ourselves to expand throughout the week of February 28th. So can I get one card representing our daily crystal inspiration? Okay, that's what I thought. Chrysocolla, start fresh. So I find it ironic that I'm recording this on the 28th before we start a new month. So I want March to be a month where you really are thinking about the goals that you have. I was talking to my girlfriend, Drea, and Chrysocolla is telling us to start fresh. So I don't actually have Chrysocolla. This may be something I need to look into getting. If you have some, maybe this is something you can work with this week in order to really just like allow yourself to step into the month of March with a fresh slate, with a clear mind. You know what I mean? Like, how are you allowing yourself to really start over in a way that helps you to know that, listen, we have to leave February where it is. There are some challenges that we experience, but that does not mean that we cannot get through these challenges with clear minds and clear hearts. And we always have another day, another opportunity to try over again. So let's see what Chrysocolla says. Whew. All right. So it's time to start fresh. Close the door behind you so you can move forward and open a new one. Every day is a blank canvas, an opportunity to boldly go after the things in your life you don't want to leave behind, and to go after the things in life you want and leave behind anything you don't. You do not need to settle for the status quo or accept what already is. You have the power to change your life and do things differently every day. It's time to live by an out with the old, in with the new and beautiful mentality. Not just out with the old, in with the new, but it's new and beautiful. So even if things feel challenging or feel overwhelming, listen, it's beautiful for you because it's allowing you to step into your own power. You are more than worthy. It makes me think about this message that Drea actually sent me today, which I want to share. They send me morning words. And this comes from Luke 1:37. It says, count on God to do the impossible, for there is nothing that God cannot do. Never let an impossible situation intimidate you. Why? Because nothing is impossible with God. So I want you to think of God as spirit, source, Allah, Buddha, your higher power, whatever it means for you to replace that word if God does not feel aligned to you. So it says, the Bible says, for there is nothing that God cannot do. Instead of being intimidated by a seemingly impossible situation, let it motivate you to pray more, believe more, trust more, wait more, expect more, and depend on God more. It doesn't matter how impossible a situation may seem. You can be certain that he who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion, which is Philippians 1:6. What God starts in your life, he will finish. Hudson Taylor, missionary from the 1800s, said this about God doing the impossible in our lives. There are 3 stages to every great work of God. First, it's impossible, then it is difficult, then it is done. First, it's impossible, then it's difficult, then it's done. But Satan doesn't want you to believe that nothing is impossible with God. He'll tell you over and over, who do you think you are? You can't do that. What makes you think you can be a man or woman of God or a person of God? When you believe and trust God for the impossible in your life, it is an embarrassment for the devil. Maybe you're in what looks like an impossible situation right now. Look to God and rely on his promises and watch your situation move from impossible to possible and then to done. So if you truly believe that nothing was impossible, How would this next week look different for you? And then the follow-up question is, what would you like God to do in your life that seems impossible right now? It says, what areas of your life are calling for a fresh start? What can you say goodbye to? And what can you welcome into your life? So areas of my life that I'm calling for a fresh start with organization, with physical exercise. I did work out twice on the 22nd. I attended a yoga session it was like a yoga and sound bath situation that I went to. Shout out to Black Mat Yoga. Please look them up on Instagram if you haven't. Wonderful brother of mine from college. What was the other thing that I did? Oh, and then I took like a 45, 50 minute, like I closed my little move ring on my Apple Watch. I've been trying to get back into my Apple Watch because it's helped me to feel like, oh, like I'm not a, I don't want to call myself, because I'm not even overweight. I don't want to talk to myself like that. But I'm not, a bump on a log. Like I am somebody that's making some moves and stuff like that. And I really want to start getting out, and not necessarily to the gym per se, but like starting to get some physical movement and activity in my life and figuring out what that looks like for me. And I'm saying goodbye to situations or feeling like I have to be in the mix all the time. Because I don't, and I also don't have to be in the mix with things that are not the right mix for me to be in. You know what I'm saying? So here's your affirmation. I welcome the opportunities each new day brings. I welcome the opportunities each new day brings. I welcome the opportunities each new day brings. It says, today, tidy or redecorate a space. Welcome new life by adding fresh flowers or potted plants. So it's funny because I actually think that now I'm actually supposed to be stepping out of the house right now. And I did want to like spend some time cleaning up my apartment, because if you may see a little bit, I got shit over here. I got shit over here. There's shit behind me. You know what I'm saying? Like there's shit everywhere. Haven't been here long enough to be able to like have time to like straighten up. That is something that I want to make sure that I have some time to do. So yeah, thank you so much for taking some time to watch this. How are you starting fresh this week? How are you knowing that as you're stepping out of one place, you're stepping into a new place? And we are getting ready to experience this new moon on Wednesday. It's going to be in Pisces. We know that Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So it's just like, as you are closing up this last chapter, what are you allowing yourself as the spring equinox comes through and like starts knocking things out? How are you allowing yourself to know that as you're stepping into like Aries season and going throughout the month of March, that you are starting fresh and it's allowing some things to really begin anew in your life, okay? Thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments below how this resonated for you. I love you very much. Happy end of Black History Month. We'll check in again very soon. Peace and hair grease. Hallelujah. Holla back.